there, and welcome to GC 365. Today we are on day 253 of the one-year Bible reading plan. It's September 10th, and my name is Mandy, and I am joined today with Tyler. So Tyler, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
Hi, I am a videographer for Gold Creek. I just recently joined, and I've been enjoying myself.
Yeah, you're liking the job so far?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
Yeah.
So we are reading the one-year Bible. You guys have made it so far. We got a few more months to go, so stick with it. If you are up to date, good for you. We're happy for you and on this journey. So Tyler, is this your first time reading the one-year Bible?
It is, yes.
And did you start in January at the beginning of the year when you came on staff?
Right when I got on staff, so I just jumped right in.
Yeah. So how has that been for you to keep up with it?
It's been good. I've been trying to do it right before I go to bed every night.
Nice.
So I'm trying to get in the routine of that, yeah.
Good routine. So are you a night owl?
I am, yes.
Yeah, I am too. I appreciate that. Good. Well, today we are going to go ahead and dig into the reading. So in our Old Testament, we are in the book of Isaiah, and we have chapters 6 and 7. So what did you think of Isaiah? I
thought it was definitely really interesting, the whole vision of him seeing God and the angels around him. It kind of reminded me of the seraphim, the angels. They have like 6 wings, and it kind of reminded me that like angels are kind of crazy looking. It's not like the usual like baby with wings, that you think of in like paintings, that they're like
with a little halo.
And they, like when they like appeared to people, they said like, "Do not be afraid," and like there's a reason why they said that, because they look kind of crazy, right?
Scary. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know this chapter. I was kind of reading into it a little bit. I with the one-year Bible, at least when we are kind of going through this and filming these for you guys, is I am kind of a student by nature. I like to really understand what it is I'm reading and where things are coming from, and I always need context for things. But I read through this chapter in the verses that we had a couple of times, and it was so interesting. So when Isaiah sees the seraphim, I'm gonna mess that one up, but when he sees it, he's kind of, and when he sees the Lord, he's kind of terrified, because he's like, oh my gosh, like I've sinned. I'm not a perfect person. I'm, kind of freaking out, which I think any of us probably would be if that were to happen, thinking I'm not worthy enough to be here. And when the seraphim basically puts a burning coal to his lips and tells him that his guilt is removed and that his sins have been forgiven, that's kind of, it's a very much of a turning point there. And what we end up learning is that this is when Isaiah's ministry really starts. That the Lord asks, who should I send as a messenger to the people? Who will go for us? And Isaiah says, here I am, send me. And so that was kind of the start where I think he felt as if like he had, told him what their sins were. He had been forgiven, and then was able to become an evangelist, which I think a lot of us probably also struggle with a little bit, is that we maybe don't feel worthy of leading people to Christ or being able to talk about those experiences, because we maybe don't feel as if we're perfect enough, if you will, to be able to do that. I don't know if you feel that. So it's kind of a turning point though for Isaiah, and that he starts his ministry. So I think that's a pretty cool. Yeah.
And I also found it interesting, the motif of like the coal touching his lips is kind of purification through like pain. And that kind of even happened with Jesus later on as like the larger sacrifice. But it is interesting that you have to sacrifice yourself for purity.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good connection. Do you have anything else for chapter 6, or you want to move into chapter 7?
I think we can go to chapter 7.
Okay. So we are also in Isaiah 7. What did you have for Isaiah 7?
I think I found it interesting that the metaphor of the burning ember came back. And I think he referred to 2 kings as them their embers had burned out. Yes. So they weren't pure in the eyes of the Lord.
Yeah, this one was also interesting in the way of we have Ahaz, who's the king of Judah, and he's basically thinking that he's going to be like attacked, is going to be taken over. And I like in here when he's been told in verse 4 to stop worrying. They tell him that he doesn't need to fear the fierce anger of the 2, like you said, the burned out embers, that God's going to take care of it for him. And I think, again, good reminders always, right? That we don't have to worry about what tomorrow brings. God has a plan for us, and worrying about it doesn't really get us anywhere. It just makes our days harder. And this is something I really struggle with. I don't know how are you a big worrier?
I try not to be. In my last GC actually had this quote too, but it was like, my dad told me that worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't do much for you.
Oh, I like that.
It doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I like that. I might have to steal that because it's something I do all the time. I worry, and my husband says to me all the time, like, how can you be worrying about something that's, gonna years? I think years ahead of time of, worrying about things. He's like, you can't worry about that. Like, there's really nothing you can truly do to make anything change or to do it. And that's something that I have to constantly remind myself to go back and to let go of some of those things and just give it to God, and God can, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But there's also kind of going through this, the Lord tells Ahaz, the invasion's not going to happen at that time, but he's basically telling him that in the future, it's going to be like past when Ahaz will even be alive anymore. And I think you had mentioned this verse that it ends by saying, unless your faith is firm, I cannot make you stand firm. And so kind of again with that, having faith in the Lord, also have to,
And I liked it too, because it's more of like, maybe God might not do something for you, but you're going to do it through God instead of like, just as kind of like you will work through him instead of like expecting things to be done for you. Yeah,
absolutely. Did you have anything? Well, I guess actually in Isaiah, we kind of jump to a second piece here, where we kind of see some foreshadowing of Jesus, where Isaiah is telling Ahaz as he's, kind of freaking out that things are are going to happen. And he says, Isaiah says to Ahaz, like, must you exhaust the patience of my God? Because he didn't want to test the Lord in this moment. And Ahaz says that he will, or the Lord said that he will give him a sign. And he tells him that a virgin will conceive a child. She'll give birth to a son and call him Emmanuel, which means God is with us, which is kind of cool. The prophecy here of Jesus happening kind of in this time. And basically, he's telling him in 65 years, all these terrible things are going to happen to your nation and to your people. But he's giving him the good news in the future that Jesus will come. And so I think that's kind of some interesting foreshadowing.
And that must sound so crazy in the moment too.
Oh, I know, right? I'd be like, what? How is that possible?
Yeah. But like looking back, it's like it gives credit to Isaiah about how like powerful of a prophet he was. And,
absolutely. Yeah. Do you have anything else in Isaiah? Do you want to move to the New Testament?
I think we can go to the New Testament.
Okay. So New Testament, we are in the 2 Corinthians. We are in chapter 11 and we had verses 16 through 33. So what do you got here?
I found this to be kind of funny. It seemed like Paul was kind of bragging about all of the just like crazy stuff that happened to him and how like the Lord brought him through it. It was kind of just a list of like, just wild stuff that happened.
Yeah.
He said that he had to escape Damascus and he had to be lowered out of a window, like off of a wall.
Yeah, like in a basket.
In a basket, yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I was kind of doing a little research about this and that it is, Paul's letter to the Corinthians. And it was kind of funny because it had said that a lot of people, or an interesting fact that they're kind of bothered by Paul because he seems to be bragging, like you said, or kind of conceited in a lot of the things he talks about. And so it is kind of funny how he is going through like all these hardships and all these terrible things that have happened to him. But in a way, he's spinning it as if like
he's gotten through it.
In
a positive way.
This happened to me, but I made it through. I persevered. Like, but
the Lord provides.
Yeah. So in a way, he's spinning the bad things in his life to turn into kind of a positive. So interesting fact about Paul there. Yeah. And then do you have anything else for Corinthians?
Not really.
Okay. And so then we have our Psalms 54, 1 through 7 today. And I think Psalms and Proverbs are always pretty good. But in our Psalms, David is praying to God for protection from the Ziphites. I think if I'm never so sure if I'm saying these things right.
You just gotta say it confidently and roll with it. It's
exactly. Who are out to get him. And so he's just kind of sitting there in prayer almost of like, help me, Lord, like, please be with me. I'm praying to him so that he will not.
Yeah, it's kind of like almost a poem.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And I was thinking that'd be a good prayer to recite if you ever feel like you're being like prosecuted or you feel like you're in danger.
Yeah, kind of calling out and asking for guidance and for help and strength. Absolutely. And then our Proverbs, we were in chapter 23, verses 1 through 3. Not really sure what I got from this one.
Yeah, I guess I kind of thought like stay aware of like people's intentions towards you and don't like just accept like favors without knowing what the pretenses behind it is,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, it's kind of that always watch your back
Yeah.
kind of mentality. When they're talking, I didn't really get a whole lot from
It's
that
a funny,
one, but
funny verse to read too. It's like put a knife to your throat if you're gonna eat. Yeah.
They talk about delicacies and so it's a very interesting one. But so watch your back today. I guess maybe that's the message for today. So look out. Do you have anything else you want to share today, Tyler?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for GC365. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us on all of our platforms, and we will see you tomorrow.
Thanks.